For more than 4.5 billion years, Earth has shaped natural wonders far beyond anything humans could imagine. A giant blue hole hides a marine world beneath the ocean. A stream of glowing red lava pours straight into the sea. And a glowing Milky Way lies deep underground. But those are only a small part of the countless secrets our world has been quietly hiding. Today, you're about to discover wonders so strange, it's hard to believe they really exist on Earth. From the outside, Antelope Canyon is just a group of rugged rock formations resting quietly in the Arizona desert. Few people know they're hiding a surreal natural wonder. Step inside, and the scenery changes completely. The Navajo sandstone walls curve gently like frozen waves. Over millions of years, flash floods and sand have slowly worn the rough rock into smooth, flowing shapes. Sand constantly falls through the narrow opening above. Sunlight reaches the canyon floor. The whole space glows with shades of red and orange. The deeper you go, the narrower the passage becomes. Some sections are only as wide as a person's arm span. In some places, the canyon walls press so close together they block much of the sunlight. Looking up, all you can see is a small patch of blue sky. It feels like a breathtaking wonder hidden by nature in the last place anyone would expect. Thousands of miles of dark shadows stretch beneath the blue water. From a distance, they look like patches of oil drifting across the ocean. But the closer you get, the clearer the outlines become, revealing countless coral reefs beneath the surface. The Great Barrier Reef lies off the coast of Queensland. It is the largest coral reef system in the world. It stretches about 1,430 miles and includes nearly 3,000 separate reefs. To experience this wonder, you can dive beneath the surface for the best view. Corals grow into branches, plates, and large formations in many different colors. Hundreds of species of fish weave through the reefs. Clownfish hide among sea anemones. Sea turtles slowly swim through the coral. Another great experience is sitting on a small boat, fishing while watching the coral reefs beneath the crystal clear water. Kīlauea erupts with incredible force. Bright red lava shoots straight into the sky like a giant fountain of fire. It is one of the most active volcanoes in the world. The ground constantly cracks open, exposing the heat below. Molten lava pours out through the cracks, flowing across the ground. At night, it glows like rivers of red and orange. It flows across the land before pouring straight into the ocean. Fire and water collide. Steam rises into the air. Sharp cracking sounds fill the air. It feels as if nature is raging as fire and water clash. Wherever the lava flows, new land is formed. Fields of black basalt mark a landscape that has been destroyed and rebuilt over hundreds of thousands of years. From a distance, Angel Falls looks like a thin white ribbon hanging across a sheer cliff in the Cano rainforest. The closer you get, the more overwhelming its scale becomes. At about 3,212 feet tall, Angel Falls is the tallest waterfall in the world. Its water begins as rainfall on top of Uyuni, a massive tabletop mountain. There are no rocky ledges, no steps. The water drops nearly a kilometer through open air. The farther it falls, the more the wind breaks it into countless tiny droplets. The white mist keeps changing direction with the wind. Sunlight shines through the thick mist. Bright rainbows appear at the base of the falls. On foggy days, Angel Falls appears and disappears among the clouds like something from a fairy tale. Waimangu Volcanic Valley is one of the youngest and most active geothermal areas in New Zealand. Large and small hot springs are found throughout the valley. Steam rises from steaming vents. It escapes through cracks in the rocky cliffs. Water constantly bubbles through small channels. Along the flowing water are streaks of yellow and orange, created by mineral deposits and heat-loving microorganisms. The valley's most famous feature is Frying Pan Lake, the world's largest hot spring. Its surface covers about 38 acres and constantly releases steam. Standing on the bridge, it feels like there's a garden of clouds beneath your feet. From the upper station, visitors still have to walk through the wild Cristales cave. Then follow the mountainside trail for another 15 to 20 minutes before reaching the inn. Even surrounded by rugged terrain, Asia welcomes guests for several months each year. A hotel built in a place where most people would expect to see nothing but a bare cliff. Mendenhall is a massive white glacier stretching more than 13 miles through the mountains of Alaska. But that's not all. Hidden beneath the ice is a world completely separated from the outside. Winding ice tunnels lead into enclosed chambers. Light passes through hundreds of feet of ice, leaving only blue behind. The caves seem to glow without any lights. Some entrances are connected by small bridges stretching from the rock face to the monastery gates. Each time the glacier moves, the world beneath it takes on a new shape. As the climate warms, Mendenhall Glacier continues to retreat. Its blue ice caves are disappearing one by one. Every visit could be your last chance to see this natural wonder. At Tsingy de Bemaraha, every step has to be carefully planned. One slip could send you falling into a deep crack below. This maze is made up of thousands of sharp limestone pinnacles standing close together. Some rise as high as 328 feet. Even the name Tsingy refers to a place so sharp you can't walk on it barefoot. But beneath this stone maze lies a completely different world. Deep canyons cut through the earth. Caves lie hidden in the darkness. Patches of lush rainforest grow between the rock formations. This entire area was once under the sea. Over millions of years, small cracks widened into canyons and deep gorges. Only the hardest rock remained, creating the strange stone forest you see today. To cross this place, you have to walk across suspension bridges, or clip onto safety cables and climb metal ladders. Exploring a natural wonder has never been easy. White sand dunes stretch all the way to the horizon. There's almost no sign of a tree, but this isn't a desert. It's right along the coast. Just a few months after the rainy season, Lençóis Maranhenses turns into a blue maze. Rainwater fills the valleys, creating thousands of crystal-clear lagoons. They come in all shapes and sizes. The shallow lagoons are turquoise. The deeper ones are dark blue. Thousands of visitors come here to swim in the cool water. But when the dry season arrives, the water evaporates and disappears as if it had never been there. The white sand returns to its quiet state. The cycle repeats year after year. The combination of wind, sand, and rain has created one of the strangest landscapes on Earth. A place where you won't always get to see white sand and blue water together. Fly Geyser rises from the Nevada desert like a monster that has just awakened. Its vent constantly shoots hot water into the air. White steam rises everywhere. The smell of sulfur hangs in the air. Mineral-rich water flows down the rocky slopes. Over the years, it has built up layers of red, orange, and yellow. Between them are patches of green created by heat-loving microorganisms. Few people realize Fly Geyser was formed after a geothermal well was drilled in 1964. The underground hot spring was accidentally reached, and the well was never sealed. Since then, hot water and minerals have continued flowing out day and night. There are still no signs that it will stop. But because Fly Geyser sits on private land, very few people ever get the chance to see this wonder in person. Towering grey rock walls surround a turquoise river. They stand so straight They look as if they were cut with modern tools. As you get closer, you'll see that most of them have hexagonal faces. The rock columns stand tightly packed, rising high along both sides of the canyon. Some lean to one side, as if a giant had pushed them over. Millions of years ago, molten lava covered this place. As it cooled, it cracked into evenly shaped basalt columns. The Yellowknife River cut through the rock. A narrow canyon slowly took shape. But few people know, the entire canyon was almost completely hidden beneath cloudy glacial water. Only when the water level drops do the basalt cliffs slowly come into view. Today, the turquoise river, flowing quietly between two giant rock walls, has become one of Iceland's most beautiful natural wonders. Thousands of rock pillars rise from the dry land of Cappadocia. Some stand more than 130 feet tall. Some rise straight up like chimneys. Others look like giant mushrooms. Their lower sections are made of soft volcanic rock, so wind and water wear them away more quickly. The harder rock on top acts like a protective cap. Taking advantage of the soft rock, people carved deep into it. Homes, storage rooms, and churches were all built inside the rock. When sunlight reaches the valley, the whole landscape glows in shades of golden orange. Cappadocia is also famous for its hot air balloon festival. Hundreds of colorful balloons float above the rock pillars. Its fairy tale beauty was shaped by both nature and human hands. White rock covers the ground, like frozen streams of cream. Running through it are red, orange, and yellow bands that curve through the layers. This is White Pocket, a sandstone area covering about 100 acres in the Arizona desert. The rock surface is covered with countless folds. Some bulge like a brain, others curl into frozen waves. Over millions of years, wind and water have continuously worn away the rock. The softer layers eroded more quickly, while the harder ones remained. That's why some rock formations look like giant mushrooms. Their narrow bases support heavy tops. To this day, there is still no marked trail leading through White Pocket. The white rock formations remain deep in the desert, far from the reach of most people. During the day, this place looks like a quiet bay, no different from any other. But when night falls, the entire surface of the water begins to glow. Every stroke of a kayak paddle leaves behind bright blue trails. Waves crash against the shore like glowing lava. Even the slightest touch on the water makes thousands of tiny lights burst to life. The light show isn't created by lamps or minerals. It's made by billions of glowing dinoflagellates. In Mosquito Bay, their concentration is among the highest in the world. During the day, this wonder is almost completely hidden. The water looks perfectly ordinary. Only when the sky is dark enough do glowing blue streaks paint a Milky Way beneath the surface. If the moon is too bright or natural conditions change, the glowing display becomes much fainter. Red sand dunes rise more than 1,000 feet high, rolling like giant waves. Under the sun, the Namib Desert shifts from bright orange to deep red. It is one of the oldest and tallest dune systems in the world, shaped by the wind over millions of years. Hidden beyond the sea of sand is Stuðlagil, a white clay pan filled with black, lifeless trees. Few people realize this dry place was once a lake that supported thriving trees. But when giant sand dunes blocked the Sorchab River, the water disappeared, leaving behind a dead forest in the middle of the desert. The trees died about 600 to 900 years ago. The climate is so hot and dry that bacteria can barely break down the wood. That's why they still stand as if frozen in time. Meanwhile, the wind continues to move every grain of sand, quietly reshaping the desert. Until 2010, this lake didn't exist at all. After a massive landslide, the entire valley slowly flooded, creating the turquoise waters of Attabad Lake. From above, it looks like a giant gemstone, trapped between cold, grey mountains. The blue color isn't caused by the light. It comes from glacial meltwater flowing down from the Karakoram Range. Villages, orchards, and part of the Karakoram Highway now lie beneath the lake. Every boat crossing the water is passing over land where people once lived. Attabad is more than a natural wonder. It shows how nature can redraw a map in just a few months. Born from disaster, its turquoise water quietly hides the memory of an entire valley that disappeared. Giant walls of water rise again and again off the coast of Nazare. At times, the waves tower above the lighthouse on the shore. Below them, surfers are nothing more than tiny dots against the rushing water. That power comes from a deep canyon beneath the Atlantic Ocean. Nazare Canyon stretches for hundreds of miles and reaches depths of more than 16,000 feet. It channels the energy of offshore swells straight toward the shallow water near the coast. When the waves meet, they pile up into walls of water dozens of meters high. Strong winds blow the tops into white spray. The sound of the waves crashing can be heard from far away. At São Miguel Arcanjo Fort, hundreds of people stand along the railing watching. Right in front of them, the sea keeps rising and falling. All they can do is watch. At that moment, the power of nature cannot be stopped. From above, the Namib Desert looks like a giant carpet covered with nearly perfect circles. Some are just over 10 feet wide. Others are more than 60 feet across. The ground inside them is completely bare, while thick rings of grass grow around the edges. These circles don't appear in just one small area. They stretch for hundreds of miles across the desert. There are millions of them. The entire pattern looks as if it had been carefully arranged by nature. For decades, fairy circles have remained one of Namibia's greatest mysteries. One theory suggests they are created by termites living underground. Other studies suggest the grasses spread themselves out to compete for water in the extremely dry climate. To this day, no explanation has been fully accepted. The mysterious circles continue to appear, disappear, and form somewhere else. It's not a volcanic crater, and it's not an impact crater. In the middle of the Caribbean Sea lies a giant sinkhole, more than 1,000 feet wide and over 400 feet deep. Crystal clear turquoise water surrounds it, but the center is a deep blue. Thousands of years ago, this place was a limestone cave system above sea level. When the sea level was lower, rainwater slowly wore away the rock. Huge caves and giant stalactites gradually formed. At the end of the last ice age, melting ice raised the sea level and submerged the entire area. Outside the Great Blue Hole is a coral reef filled with hundreds of marine species. But the deeper you go, the less light there is, and the less life remains. Today, divers can still see giant stalactites attached to the walls of the sinkhole. They are clear evidence that this place was once a massive cave before it was swallowed by the ocean. In the middle of a dry, grey-white landscape, patches of turquoise water suddenly appear. Dozens of salt lakes, large and small, sit apart from one another. Each one has a different shade of blue. Some are deep blue, some are turquoise. Others turn green or golden. White salt flats surround the water. The whole area looks like a giant palette painted by nature, only from above. Can you see all the lakes scattered across the vast Dachaidan basin? Many of these lakes formed in old salt mining pits abandoned years ago. Over time, mineral-rich water, sunlight, and crystallization transformed them into one of the most unusual landscapes in China. The color of the water keeps changing throughout the day with the light and the viewing angle. No two moments ever look exactly the same. That's why Dachaidan always has a new look, as if nature is still finishing its masterpiece. A world of white stretches all the way to the horizon. This is Antarctica, a continent almost completely covered by ice and snow. Snow-covered mountains rise above the freezing ocean. Offshore, giant icebergs drift quietly with the currents. Some are so large, they look like moving islands. Hidden beneath miles of ice is a world that few people ever see. Mountains, lakes, and rivers have remained buried beneath the ice for millions of years. In summer, part of the ice melts. When winter returns, it freezes again. The entire continent is constantly changing, though the changes are almost impossible to notice with the naked eye. In this place that seems almost lifeless, colonies of penguins gather on floating ice. They dive into the sea to hunt fish and shellfish. Farther away, seals rest on the ice. Whales appear in the open water between the ice. Together, they create a unique ecosystem in one of the coldest environments on Earth. A bright red river suddenly appears in the middle of a deep green forest. For most of the year, Cano Cristales looks like a clear river flowing across ancient rock. When the time is right, the riverbed begins to change color. Aquatic plants called Macarenia clavigera turn the water into bands of red, pink, yellow, and green. Under the sunlight, each color stands out like a moving painting. The water winds through narrow cracks, flows over small waterfalls, and swirls into round pools carved out over millions of years. To see Cano Cristales at its best, you have to come during the short season between the wet and dry months. Its beauty is revealed for only a few months, as if the river awakens only when nature allows it. A vast green landscape stretches to the horizon. From a distance, the mossy lava fields look like a giant moss-covered carpet. Gentle green mounds roll across the land. It's hard to believe volcanic rock lies beneath them. More than 200 years ago, lava from the Laki eruption buried this entire area. When the sea of lava cooled, nothing remained but endless fields of rough black rock. It took hundreds of years for moss to slowly cover the lava and bring life back to this barren land. The surface may look peaceful, but beneath the thin layer of moss are sharp volcanic rocks and countless cracks. This moss grows extremely slowly. A single footprint can take decades to disappear completely. Today, a narrow path winds through the sea of moss. It's one of the few places where people are allowed to walk. Most of the lava field remains untouched, allowing the moss to continue covering the hardened lava. Turquoise pools step down the mountainside. From each rocky terrace, warm water flows into the next, creating dozens of pools in the middle of the dry mountains. The water comes from inside the mountain at temperatures of about 95 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Dissolved minerals give it its pale blue color. Warm steam rises into the cool air, covering the pools with a thin layer of mist. Below, the Tolantongo River winds through the canyon floor. Dry cliffs rise on both sides. The blue water stands out so much that the whole valley looks like a hidden oasis. The terraced pools were built to hold the natural hot spring water. But what creates this entire landscape still lies deep inside the mountain, where the hot water has never stopped flowing. Curved rock walls rise like a giant wave in the middle of the desert. Red, orange, and yellow bands flow across the surface, drawing you deeper into the layers of stone. Nearly 200 million years ago, the wave was a field of giant sand dunes. The sand was compressed into sandstone. Then wind and water slowly carved it away, revealing the layers of color beneath. The deeper you go, the tighter the curves become. Some sections look like a wave about to crash. Others open into tall rock walls covered with thousands of thin stripes. The wave lies deep in the Arizona desert. There is no clear trail leading to it, and that isolation has kept this stone wave almost untouched for millions of years. Every winter, the surface of Lake Baikal freezes into a giant sheet of crystal-clear ice. White cracks spread across it, crossing one another as if time itself had split the lake apart. The ice can be more than 3 feet thick, yet it's clear enough to see below. Methane bubbles trapped between the layers of ice form stacks of frozen circles. Beneath the lake lies the deepest body of freshwater on Earth. Lake Baikal is about 25 million years old and is still expanding because of tectonic activity. More than 1/5 of the world's unfrozen freshwater is stored here. In this frozen landscape, you can walk for miles across ice as clear as crystal. Beneath every step is water more than 5,300 feet deep, where an ancient ecosystem has quietly existed for millions of years. Above a dark, underground river, thousands of tiny blue lights cover the cave ceiling. The cave looks like a night sky, hidden beneath the earth. The light reflects on the water. The boat drifts quietly through what feels like a galaxy. This is Waitomo Glowworm Caves, one of New Zealand's strangest natural wonders. The glowing lights come from Arachnocampa luminosa, a bioluminescent lava found only in this country. From the cave ceiling, they hang thousands of thin, sticky threads to trap insects. The more insects they attract, the brighter the underground sky becomes. Surrounding them is a limestone cave system shaped by underground water over tens of millions of years. Above this wonder are nothing more than ordinary limestone hills. Only when the boat quietly moves deeper into the darkness does this surreal scene begin to appear. The ground and the sky seem to become one. Standing there, it's almost impossible to tell where the horizon is. Just a thin layer of water covering the ground is enough to turn the entire white landscape into a giant mirror. Salar de Uyuni is the largest salt flat in the world. Tens of thousands of years ago, this place was once a giant lake. As the water slowly evaporated, a thick layer of salt remained, creating a flat plain covering more than 4,000 square miles. When the dry season arrives, the mirror disappears. In its place are millions of hexagonal salt patterns stretching to the horizon. The evenly spaced cracks are formed as the salt crystallizes and expands under the intense sun. That transformation gives Salar de Uyuni two completely different appearances. One is a giant mirror reflecting the sky. The other is an endless white sea of salt. The line between nature and illusion seems to disappear. A deep blue lake lies surrounded by steep cliffs. The water is almost perfectly still, reflecting every mountain slope and forest around it. Crater Lake is the deepest lake in the United States. About 7,700 years ago, Mount Mazama erupted with tremendous force. The summit collapsed, leaving behind a giant crater that slowly filled with rain and melted snow. No rivers flow into the lake. That pure water gives it its deep blue color. In the middle of the lake stands Wizard Island, the remains of a small volcanic cone rising above the surface. In winter, snow covers the rim of the crater. The landscape becomes strangely quiet, but beneath the calm water are still the geological remains of a place that was once the summit of a giant volcano. In the turquoise waters of the Indian Ocean, a giant current appears to be pouring into the bottom of the sea. From above, it looks exactly like a massive waterfall, pulling the ocean into the depths. This is the Morne Brabant underwater waterfall off the coast of Mauritius. Sand and fine sediment are pulled by ocean currents over an underwater slope, creating the illusion that water is flowing downward. Surrounding the waterfall are coral reefs and crystal clear shallow waters in many shades of blue. The changing depth of the sea floor makes the illusion look even more real. Unfortunately, this wonder can hardly be seen from the ground. Only from a helicopter does the full picture created by nature come into view. When night falls over the snow-covered land, the sky above Yellowknife suddenly lights up. Green ribbons of light ripple across the sky. Sometimes they stretch like giant curtains. Sometimes they swirl above the northern forests. Yellowknife sits directly beneath the aurora belt. Here, charged particles from the sun collide with Earth's atmosphere, creating moving bands of green, purple, and pink light. During winter, darkness lasts for many hours. Locals and visitors leave the city lights behind, set up tents on frozen lakes, and patiently wait. The aurora doesn't appear every night. The sky has to be clear, and solar activity has to be strong enough. When the conditions are right, the entire night sky comes alive. Light flows over rooftops, forests, and thick ice, revealing the most mysterious beauty of Yellowknife. Nature always finds a way to create things beyond human imagination. Whether shaped by volcanoes, ice, wind, water, or time, every wonder carries a story that nature has quietly written over thousands, even millions, of years. Somewhere on Earth, there are still other wonders waiting to be discovered. What place from today's journey would you most like to see with your own eyes? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more journeys ahead.